Hello everyone! Still speaking season in my channel, the best season to be had. Welcome everyone to my small corner of the internet. If you randomly clicked on this video, I'm letting you know this is the third part of a four-part series I'm doing on the book Different Seasons by Stephen King. No, you don't have to watch the other videos to understand this one, but I will be making comments and references to the previous stories and videos. And now you're well informed to make whatever decision it is you want to make. If you're back from the previous videos... Oh! That's very nice of you, thank you! Coming up, the third tale. The Body, story that inspired the 1986's movie Stand By Me, which I have not watched, so I won't be making any interjections on the movie. You're welcome. Movie that I haven't seen yet. It is the story of a group of 4 friends, all the tender age of 12, where, you know, smoke some cigs when no one's watching and cuss like sailors. The 60s were a wild time, I guess. These 4 boys, Gordy, Chris, Teddy and Bern, find themselves at the cusp of the hottest summer they have ever experienced. When Bern comes in one day after overhearing his brothers say, "There is a dead body of a kid by the railroads." And so the boys embark on an adventure to walk for miles so they can witness the body. It's a pretty straightforward concept. They spend most of the story walking towards their destination and getting into more trouble than a 2-day trip is probably worth, in my opinion. Get chased by a dog and an angry man after trespassing private property. They almost get smushed by a train when they're trying to cross a bridge. They get leeches all over them when they get into a little lake to refresh themselves. At one point there is a gun involved and we haven't even gotten close to the poor dead boy. It is wild. That bit about the leeches is honestly nightmare-inducing, and God help me if something like that ever happens to me, I will shoot myself. I really liked this story. It comes to me as no surprise whatsoever just how much meat even sad little side characters have. All the kids have backstories and motivations and unique personalities. Even when King describes them in a less than favorable light, he's like, yeah, he was hecking dumb, but they were friends. I just love how he constructs characters, especially children's. A whole rant about that in this video. I'll put the link in the description down below. The relationships here are a little bit more superficial than the ones in It, but still strong in that way that childhood friendships are. And I think the book puts it very nicely. It says something like, "I don't think I've ever had friends like the ones I had when I was 12. Something along those lines. But particularly, Gordy and Chris have a very special connection. And I think most of it is wordless. Wordless, not worthless, just in case it was not clear by the way I'm talking. They do talk more deeply between them than they do the other two. Not all that much. Still, there is a gravitas to the way that they interact with each other. Like, they know more about life and how it works than the other boys do. It's not so much said, but felt. And I'll talk more about that at the end of the video. This is a story about friendship, certainly, and about death and the first impact that mortality has on you, especially when you see an actual dead body. The body just put emotions inside of me, and I don't know what to do with them or how to properly put them into words. I don't know, just the moments between these boys are so sweet sometimes, though I don't think I could stand them in real life. My favorite of these boys is Chris. He has a very hard home life. Everyone thinks and expects him to become a criminal when he's older because of his family and home. But he's so level-headed and is the most mature one, and always the first to break up fights and ask for peace between the boys. And when one of the boys cries, it's not pussy, as the boys so often say. But what he does is sit beside them and wait them out, and somehow he manages to get out some words of comfort and wisdom. I think it is because he has such a hard life with his father and brother, who beat him on a regular basis, that he can be so wise. Of course, it's not as simple as getting beat up and having a deeper life understanding. You can very well end up being certifiably fucked. But Chris has a lot of empathy, and I think that's what saves him. As for Gordy, he's the traditionally smart one of the group. Whenever the kids have questions about facts or things that are specific in nature, they are always directed towards him. Aside from that, he enjoys creating stories very much. He's also got his own ghosts hanging over him, in his case, way more literally than what Chris has. I mentioned this in the past video about noticing an author's recurring themes and ideas. And if I had a nickel for every time the death of a brother was hanging over a character's death while his parents ignored him out of grief in a Stephen King novel, I'd probably have more than 2 nickels. Which I can't actually confirm because I haven't read all that many books of his very extensive repertoire. But I already found it twice if you count the meta story written by Gordy inside of this novella. And of course we have the character who grows up to become a writer, more specifically a horror-y inclined writer. And well, that's a lot of damn nickels to collect. Just putting it out there, I really don't mind when authors self-insert. I actually kind of hate that term, or at least the way in which people use it. People are always telling writers to write about what they know, write about what they lived, and well, writing and horror are 2 things that Stephen King knows very well. It doesn't necessarily mean that every male writer he puts in a story is himself. He's just, as people say, writing from what he knows. I resent the self-insert complaints. When I finished reading this story, I thought it was going to be my favorite of them all. And I thought that of Shawshank too, and now I just don't know. There is just something about the body, and I can't quite put my finger on what it is. I don't think it's a particularly sad story, but it left me with a strange sort of void feeling inside. It's not sad, but there is certainly an underlying melancholy to it. Oh, but the end! The end! Halfway through the novella, here be spoilers, Gordy, who's writing this story as a memoir, tells us that his 3 friends have died. Oh, but don't worry, they don't die in this story, because it's not a sad story, according to him. No sir, not a sad story at all. But the story we read does certainly end with the author telling us how eventually these 3 boys died, all really quite young. But not while they're still 12-year-old boys, only just entering their coming-of-age phase. No, death lies in a distant future where friendship ties pull away and wanting to play with each other is no longer enough to keep them together. Chris and Gordy do keep their friendship though. As I said before, no one expects Chris to do anything with his life more than work at some shop of his choosing. He's also not particularly talented or smart in school. His own teachers and counselors just don't believe in him at all. But eventually, as he grows older, Chris fights tooth and nail to be able to go to college, working his ass off to be able to learn all of the things he missed in school, studying with Gordy by his side, and pushing until he finally manages to get into law school. That was just so lovely to read. It literally grabbed my heart and squeezed, but like tenderly. There is a recurring theme throughout the story about how the most important things can't be put into words. What's more, they get destroyed once they are put into words. I can't explain how much wonder this concept brought me. It makes me feel things that can't be put into words lest the meaning is completely destroyed by them. And as I said, a lot of these unspoken feelings are what hold Gordy and Chris's relationship together. This is why I chose to draw this scene between them. In this part of the story, Gordy is talking about how he wants to stay in their town forever and be like everyone else. Just take a shop course and be done with it. Stay with his friends and just be one of the guys. Chris gets angry though, because he knows Gordy's got a talent with words and could get so far if he tried, not like him. Not like Chris, who, despite wanting exactly that, getting far away from Castle Rock, going to college and never looking back. He can't do that, he says, because people drag you down. Who? Gordy asks. Your friends drag you down. And that scene just hit so hard for me. If I remember correctly, I think I teared up here. I wanted to close this video by reading the first part of this story, which hit me like a train. That was unintentional and too soon. The story opens like this. The most important things are the hardest things to say. They are the things you get ashamed of, because words diminish them. Words shrink things that seemed limitless when they were in your head, to no more than living size when they are brought out. But it is more than that, isn't it? The most important things lie too close to wherever your secret heart is buried, like landmarks to a treasure your enemies would love to steal away. And you may make revelations that cost you dearly, only to have people look at you in a funny way, not understanding what you've said at all, or why you thought it was so important that you almost cried while you were saying it. That's the worst, I think. When the secret stays locked within, not for want of a teller, but for want of an understanding ear. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you're enjoying these videos. They're quite a hassle to make, but I really enjoy them. Having concrete ideas is hard, and articulating them is even harder. I possess neither the ability to be concrete or articulate, but maybe One day in the future, with enough practice, I'll get better. Have a great day. Please, please, I am begging you to take a guess as to what I'm going to do now. Please, take a guess. If you said go watch Stand By Me, you deserve a golden star with a little spit in your forehead.